Yeah, so feel free to start whenever you're ready.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen too. Do you see my screen already?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So first of all, I wanted to thank Michael for inviting me and all the attendees, because I guess you will be able to take a nap today, that is Saturday afternoon. So thank you for attending, and I really appreciate it. My name is Gorka Puente, and I'm co-founder and product lead of Running Pixels. But this affiliation changed like a couple of months ago, because now we are part of the Afire family. So I'm gonna start over. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gorka Puente, and I am Principal Product Manager in the BI reporting category at Afire. And today we are gonna see how can we turn Jira as the central hub of our organization. So let's start introducing who we are, who is Afire. How can we turn Jira as that central hub of our organization? But you may think that ain't it already, right? The central part of our jobs for most of us, right? That we do pretty much everything on Jira. So we'll talk about that. Then I'm gonna do a live demo, that, although my colleagues say that I better record everything and put the recording, but I think that yeah, we can risk, because I really trust our engineers and our apps. And finally, the most important part of this presentation, which is the Q&A. So write down your questions, and feel free to discuss with me at the end of the session. So who we are? Well, the Fire family is pretty big. We are more than 400 people, and Fire started in 2005. So that's 16 years. And the mission in 2005 and the mission today is the same, remains the same. Support our founders and the teams of these founders to build incredible solutions. And everything is fueled first by innovation, and second, the most important part, that is your feedback and you, our customers. We pledge the 1% of all our equity, our product, profit, and employee time. And we have like 200,000 active installations and over 200 apps in the Atlassian ecosystem. And today I wanted to talk about Jira as the central hub of our organizations. Usually, this is how it looks, right? Our galaxy. We have in the middle of the galaxy, our sun is Jira. For managing services for our customers, tracking and monitoring projects, or just collaborating with our peers within our organizations. We do that on Jira, but not only in Jira, right? Because we use, okay, Jira Work Management, Jira Software, but also we use Asana, for example, or we use ServiceNow or Freshdesk or GitHub. So organizations are not just Jira. And usually the galaxy looks like this, right? There are many products, many services, and every single one of these app, of these products, of these services generates information, and this information is spread out, right? And we need to move from one product to another. We have to change from one service to other to get that information and communicate our colleagues about that information, right? And moving from one product to another to get information and communicate that information, or to get alerts, or to get incidents that we really need in our daily jobs, has a toll, right? Has an impact on the success of our tasks and the efficiency of our teams and the expenses of our projects, right? Because switching context has a cost. interrupted people experience higher workload, more stress, higher frustration, more time pressure, and they have to put more effort. And the reimmersion time, well, reimmersion time is that extra effort that takes to complete a task after you've been interrupted. That maybe other person interrupt you, or you interrupt your task because you had to switch to another product to get data, right? And that reimmersion time for us, for knowledge workers, usually vary from 20 minutes to 1 hour or even 2 hours, depending on the person and the task, right? The good news is that there are potential solutions for that. And we know one, which is just plain Jira, right? Well, plain Jira has a lot of drawbacks, right? If we have to use many products and we just use Jira. But we have also Jira Dashboards that sometimes that's enough if your team doesn't do an intensive use of Jira and other products. Or we can use third-party apps where we can find really interesting and useful alternatives, right? In plain Jira, we always have some integrations at issue level, right? For example, we can see the deployments, but we don't see the big picture. We just see a very fine granularity of our projects, right? Or the works of our colleagues. That's why we have Jira Dashboards. But even Atlassian has done some improvements lately on UX and UI. There are a lot of problems with Jira Dashboards. First, I don't know if you have tried ever to share externally a Jira dashboard. Well, you can go to the community and find threads that are dozens and dozens of different threads where people tries to share a Jira dashboard publicly, right? It's really difficult. If not, sometimes it's not gonna work, right? Because you have to give permissions to everything you want to share, and you don't want to give permissions to people that is not from your organization, right? Not to mention that you cannot connect with other Jira instances. And not only big companies or enterprises have different Jira instances. Sometimes we have to work with other companies in a joint project, and we need to know what's the state of the project also in that external team, right? In the team of that other company. So we need to work with data from other Jira instances. There are no powerful custom charts. You got some gadgets that you can do some things. You got this pie chart that you can configure a few fields, but are a bit weak, I'm gonna say, right? There are no predefined templates. To create a project in Jira, you got templates. In Confluence, for example, you got blueprints, but you don't have predefined dashboards to say, hey, my team work with Scrum. I am product manager. Give me a dashboard with the metrics I'm gonna need. There is nothing similar to that, right? There are not enough metrics. We are always asking, hey, how can I represent this? How can I display this in Jira, in a Jira dashboard? So many times you cannot do that, right? There are lack of integrations. You need to resort to third-party apps to have those integrations in Jira dashboards. And the gadgets that we find there are usually really old, right? That's why most of organizations, what we do is we use third-party apps. We have third-party apps, for example, to sync Jira instances, right? We got the different Jira instances, and we can synchronize projects, right? We have apps to create custom charts or to integrate external products, for example, GitHub or ServiceNow or different products, right? And we have apps to create dashboards, right? Usually, when you start looking at the different options, you see something like that. So we can use apps like Backbone from K15T or Exalate, both great apps, right, to synchronize different projects, the issues in those projects. And if you want, for example, integrate external products, you got a lot of alternatives. For custom charts, we got ECBI for BI for business intelligence, which is great. custom charts from all three solutions, really nice and neat custom charts. There are other apps to create dashboards, and we were there. So before being a marketplace partner, I am a user of all Atlassian apps. And we had this very same problem in our team, right? And to create the solution we needed for our teams, what we did is kind of a mashup, a mixture of different apps that we integrated. We put those together, we customize those apps to have like a Frankenstein solution of what we needed with all these apps. Plus, we needed an engineer to do all this, right? A person, I don't know, from marketing couldn't do this, right? Because it was a complex solution, and it was not the solution we needed for this problem, right? Having this myriad of different products just to handle a single project, right? And that's how we came up with the solution that I'm gonna present, which is Dashboard Hub. We look at alternative, and we remember, I don't know if you know this CPIT, I guess you do, the CPIT program that Atlassian has. In 2013, they created a project called Atlasboard. Atlasboard was a dashboard that Atlassian was used internally, and it was born in one of these CPIT days that they got. And the problem with Atlasboard, when we start trying it, is that it was dated from 2013, the technology was old, and to create different gadgets, you needed a software developer to create the different gadgets. And we couldn't rely in a person to create every single gadget or metric we needed, right? So that's why we built Dashboard Hub. So our focus was simplicity for the final user. So you don't need an engineer to create a dashboard, right? Or I am product manager. I don't need to know about the technical nitty-gritty, right? And details to create a metric. So that's why we created templates, a really simple way to externally share these dashboards, right? Like Dropbox, right click, give me the link, share it, done, right? And always in a secure way, because we must remember that we are in enterprise context, that that data is key, and we cannot leave the data out of in the wind, right? And we have created more than 60 different gadgets metrics from 10 products for now. And for those use cases that we cannot reach, because there are many, we have really powerful custom charts. Behind this team, we are, this is the team behind Dashboard Hub, right? You saw that in Appfire. We have a very big team. And here we have Kat. She is the director of product marketing. So she creates awareness of all the benefits that this product has. Harsh, who is our head of product engineer. Then we have our newest member, Ivan, who is an intern that he started with us this year. And then we were Running Pixels co-founders, Íñigo, Javier, and me. Íñigo, we were together in Comalatech, that probably you know because of Comala Workflows, which now is Comala Document Management, is the top workflows app in the marketplace for Confluence. And he was the tech lead for the cloud area. Then he moved to a CTO of a blockchain startup. Then we have Javier. He worked with us in Comalatech for 1 year, something like that. Then he had to move to Chile, where he's living now. And then he moved to a company that we were together again, the second time we were together. And he was the CTO. I was the product lead. It was a recruiting company. And now me, which is, I am now the principal product manager. Back in the day, I was with Íñigo for 4 years also in Comalatech, leading the product area. And I have spent the last 15 years using professionally and study the use of wikis, corporate wikis. And I did my thesis, my PhD in corporate wikis. And the last eight years, I've been working with apps. I've been building apps for Confluence and Jira. Now we are more focused in Jira, but my favorite app from Atlassian is Confluence, and I think it's gonna be forever Confluence, right? And yeah, and the last, before this in Comatec, we had a product portfolio of around 15 different apps. And I'm really passionate about this, right? About solving problems for different engineer teams. And yeah, that's why we created Javier, Inigo, and me, Running Pixels. And we've been with Running Pixels like 1 year before joining Appfire. And now let's see the live demo. I'm gonna show you how this works, because I think is the best way to really have a taste of how easy it is to have all these products, the information from different products right within Jira, right? And we don't need to go anywhere else, right? Dashboard Hub is an app to easily create dashboards, to report all your team metrics, and no matter the source. So the information can be in a Jira server, Confluence data center, or Bitbucket cloud. We don't care, right? We can put everything on the same dashboard. And thanks to that, we can help teams to be more productive, get the right information, stay more focused, and waste less time switching context, right? Moving from one product to another. But what is more important is to communicate and be aware of the team status. And for that, as I mentioned before, we provide a set of dashboard templates for each company role. For example, take ITCM as example. The metrics that a manager needs to see are not the same than those metrics that an agent needs. For example, the agent maybe needs to look at a VIP queue and the customer satisfaction. But the manager maybe needs to see the agent workload, or for example, the SLA by project, right? So in the same way, me as a product manager, I need to see different metrics than the head of engineer, even if we are looking at metrics for the same project, right? So let's see how easy it is to create a dashboard here. I'm gonna create a dashboard for the ACE Nairobi. The access is gonna be for the whole organization for now. And here is where we can select the different templates that we got. You want to create from scratch, that's fine. You create it from scratch, but you can select, for example, for ITCM teams, for Scrum teams, for DevOps, or Atlassian Marketplace. I'm gonna show you this later, that this is interesting too. I'm gonna select ITCM, right? And now what you're gonna see is a dashboard with 2 slides with a set of gadgets that are focused, in this case, for the ITCM team, right? As we can see here, we see the gadgets that, of course, need to be configured, right? Saying, hey, where you have to get the information from. And let's start configuring this one, right? The time to first response. This is an SLA, right? In Jira Service Management, a service level agreement that we may have with our customers that create, for example, bugs in our service desk. So we need to say where you want to get the data from. In this case, from this current Jira instance, right? Select a project, a demo desk I have configured. Select the queue, right? From this demo desk, I'm gonna say all the issues, so we see more information, and the time period. Let's say the last year, for example, 1 year, right? And here, this is an interesting configuration that says, hey, if you find any other gadget in this dashboard that can use this data, use it, so I don't have to configure all the gadgets one by one, right? So the intention is the same. Simplify and make my life easier. So we just click save, and now all the gadgets that can use that configuration are gonna be automatically configured, right? In this case, we see the time to first response, this SLA. We can see here a service desk queue, the time to resolution, which is another SLA, the customer satisfaction. And here, this is more for the manager of this team with the agent's workload, the different SLAs that we have configured, the workload, number of tickets they have assigned, the SLA by project, right? All the projects that we have configured. Okay, give me all the data related to those SLAs and the created versus resolved request. Here we can see one gadget that is not configured, right? And it's because the data from this gadget is from Statuspage, which is a completely different product, right? So we select the source of the data, we select one page, and we are going to select a real one, right? Our Statuspage source. And here we can see if our services are online or not, right? And we can see that they are operational, which is nice, right? So one of the use cases that I like the most from our real customers, from our current customers, is one that they use this mechanism to share these dashboards, because here you can share the dashboards publicly, right? You create a public link. Of course, you can set a password if you want, and you can copy this and you can share. So we have customers that what they are doing, they provide 8 premium support to their customers. The problem is that they have to create monthly reports. So every month they have to go to Jira Service Management, create a report, take a screenshot, create a PDF, and send it by email, right? Every single month, because their customers want to know if they are meeting the SLAs, right? If they are breaching or meeting those SLAs. What they are doing now is they create a private dashboard, so no one in the company can see that. They share a link with them, these public links, and the company, the only thing that has to do is receive this link that you can see here that is secure, although you can set a password also. And if they have a TV, for example, in the office, or a TV or in a computer, it doesn't matter, they can have a live view of the data from this service desk team, right? And if they have, as I mentioned, the TV, they can say, hey, I want to set a slideshow that you wouldn't put it in seconds, but for this demo, I'm going to put every 3 seconds, you're going to see one slide. So we come here again, and this is going to be like a presentation. You're going to see different metrics here. Imagine that it's on a TV, and every 3 seconds, you're going to see a different slide. When this is load, you see a different slide. This is like a presentation that is running on your TV, right, for the team. And they cannot access anything but this data, right? Other use case that yesterday a company, and it's a pretty big company, surprises us, is they are creating Google sites and they are embedding these dashboards. So they have this for other customers managers that they don't access Jira. They have these Google sites and they use this URL and they put that on a iframe within that Google site, and they see the dashboard directly, right? So they don't have to access Jira, because usually managers or C-levels, they don't access Jira. They just want a report, right? So with this, they have one URL, they access, and done. They got all the information right away. And we also have templates for agile teams, right? Here is one of my favorite gadgets, which is the Hall of Fame, which is here. You're going to see when developers send to, for example, to production, to staging, to any branch, and the build is success. So they see who did a successful build. And we also have one that is the opposite. When someone does a failed build, there is the Hall of Shame, right? Oh, shame of you, you failed, right? So the person has to go there and fix it. And we have, for example, for me as product manager, interesting gadgets, the sprint goals, right? We have here the sprint goals, the sprint burn down, the sprint blockers, really important. hey, start working on that and don't move to a new issue from the backlog if we still have blockers, right? Also, we can see the workload of our colleagues, developers, right? The report of the releases we are doing, sprint health, and also information from Confluence, depending tasks we have from a space in Confluence. We can run SQL searches and we can report anything from Confluence. And remember that I mentioned those custom charts, right? Here, we have custom charts and we can create, if we don't find the metric that we want among all the gadgets, see here the gadgets we got over 60 different gadgets. There are a lot of gadgets. So you're probably gonna find the metric you need, but if you don't find it, you can come here and create your own custom chart. There is one gadget that you use a query, right? A JQL query, and you choose the visualization. Okay, I want a table, I want a bar chart, a tile chart, whatever. And then you can chart by any field, even if it's a custom field. You can do aggregations. In this case, we are doing a sum of the story points of each assignee, right? And here I use the Google colors, so you could see that you can choose any color, and colors many times are really important to transmit the information. If you want to transmit, for example, an incident, you may want to highlight that in red, and maybe the rest of the information is going to be in gray, right? So it's important for that, for communicating the information in the right way. You can hide different segments if you want, or you can reorder the segments of your information. So you can do pretty much anything you want to represent the data in the right way. And what I like of this slide is two things. First, that if you see here, the information from this gadget comes from a Jira data center, but we are in Jira Cloud, as you can see here, right? Here is Jira Cloud, here is Jira Data Center, and here is Jira Cloud. This is what we call a hybrid dashboard. And why this is important? Because we have customers that they are in their journey to cloud. And this journey is usually a bit painful, right? Because you need to have at the same time two different instances, and you cannot migrate everything the first day, right? But with this, you can create a cloud instance, and right away, you can display the information from your old server or data center instance, right? So it's going to be easier, this journey to cloud. And also, what is important is that you can have information from different Jira instances. Imagine that you are doing a joint project with other company. You don't want to give access to your Jira, right? Well, you can create a user, give the right permissions, but you probably are going to move to a higher tier of a higher tier, and you have to pay more. And also, if you do a permission that is not perfect, that person may have a look to other information, right? With this, you can create a custom dashboard and have information from different Jiras, and you don't have to access information from other company, and the other company doesn't need to get information, doesn't need to access your Jira instance. So for me, this is a super cool feature. And we have also for DevOps teams, we can see here, I got a shortcut for this dashboard that we created. This is a shared dashboard, as you can see here, right? And here we got information from other products. For example, from Opsgenie, we got Statuspage, we got Bitbucket, and here we got Opsgenie. For example, we can see the last incidents. We don't have to wait for, I don't know, email or have everything always Opsgenie open. You can have a dashboard, and you can see the open alerts, the on-call schedules of your colleagues, and pretty much everything, right, in this dashboard. And one thing that I wanted to show you also, well, the information in this dashboard is not real because we cannot, of course, show information from customers. But what we are doing here is pure dog fooding. We are connecting to the Atlassian marketplace to get the information from our customers. So the customers that we have in Dashboard Hub, we are seeing that information with Dashboard Hub. Do you see? It's like a meta dashboard, right? We can see the last evaluations of our customers. We can see the feedback of our customers. We can see the reviews. We can see the number of users we have in our apps. We can see the last sale. We can see a lot of metrics for clouds. For example, how many cancellations? What is the conversions rate of our cloud apps? What are the renewals? And of course, the financial data, right? What are our sales by hosting? So we created this dashboard, right, to use the product ourselves. With is something that we really like, yeah, and we really enjoy, and we really makes us test it a lot, right? Because we are using it every day for different use cases. And that was well, we got more settings that I didn't mention, but and this is important for some teams. We use a refresh rate of 3 minutes, right? For some gadgets, it's not important. For example, for the sprint goals, you don't need to refresh that, right? That often. But we have customers that they get really tight SLAs. We got one customer that has an SLA of minutes. So they need to have their SLA queues updated every minute. So here you can select gadgets, different gadgets that you have here. And the gadgets that you select are refreshed every single minute to have the live information there, right? Which it was another use case that we discovered from customers that really surprised us. And that was the live demo. Well, sorry. And the last thing I wanted to mention is our roadmap, right? What we call the World Domination Plan. This week we have published the data center versions in our goal of enterprise features. We have in our roadmap cache to improve performance. We have advanced permissions, so you'll be able to say, okay, Dashboard Hub can only be used by this group of people, and this group of people can see just these dashboards, and they can edit other dashboards. So a fine granularity permission system, right? Audit log, analytics, and one that I really gonna enjoy is the schedule reports, saying I want this report every week on my email. Send it to me, right? Because I want a snapshot of this situation, of this dashboard. Integrations. We are almost finishing an integration with Project Track, which is a project tracking app from Dasa. We are going to integrate with Software Plan, with maybe you know Big Picture, Bitbucket, and then we have other integrations like ServiceNow, GitHub, Tempo, and powerful custom charts. You've seen that we have already really powerful custom charts for Jira, but we are going to do the same for Confluence, for Insight, for Project Track, for Tempo. So imagine in Project Track, you can do the same for projects, right? At project level instead of at issue level. And that was my presentation. I wanted to leave some time for this part, which I think is probably the most interesting one, right? Where you can ask me anything.
Yeah, any questions? Raise up your hand and then come close here and ask. Ready? Yeah, please.
Okay, hello, I have a question.
Yes.
So for the dashboards, do they check data that is external? Can they use external data?
Yeah, we can get external data. For now, we are integrating with 10 different products. And we are creating more integrations. But yeah, we get data from different Jira instances, or so you install the app in one instance and you can get data from many different sources, different Jira instances, from Confluence, from inside Opsgenie, from other apps, and we are going to create more integrations with other apps. For example, with GitHub, with GitLab, with Tempo, with ServiceNow. Yeah, is that what you refer to?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any other?
Yeah, I'm gonna leave also my personal information, and the presentation. I'm gonna send it to Michael in case you want to contact me later. Send me an email. Maybe you have questions later, or maybe one day you remember, oh, I need this, or I need to ask this. So yeah, I'm gonna have that too. So yeah, you can have it now because I got it here. Here is my information. There is my email. Yeah, my LinkedIn and Twitter account. So you wanna to write it down, or if not, I'm gonna send everything, the whole presentation to Michael. So if you wanna review anything from what we saw.
Yeah, thank you so much, Goka. My question is towards like creating Atlassian applications. What is the process like? Like what like led you to like create this solution, and what was the research like so that you arrive at different features that you have on running?
So can you come closer to the computer, please?
Yes, my question is, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
So my question is towards creating running pixel as a solution to Atlassian.
Sí,
So
yeah.
what was the process like, especially for a developer, and what was the research behind it to advise on all those features that you have?
You mean at company level, how we devised everything?
Yes. And if it's okay with you, can share also the time period that you have created running pixel to what it is.
Yeah. So we started to create running pixels, the company, in June, July last year. And we started to discuss about what we wanted to do with how approach this problem that we had, right? And we studied Atlas board. And the thing is that Javi, Inigo, and me, we have worked together, and we work really good together. So I think we were really fast because we started. I think the implementation was started in August last year, and in November we had the product already in the marketplace public, the cloud version. And our idea was, okay, let's see what are the minimum use cases that we have to solve, right? Where we can deliver the more value for our future customers, thinking first on our use case, right? The problem that we had. And we started there. When we had something that we thought, okay, this is going to have value, real value. We contacted a few companies that we knew, and we said, hey, is this a problem you have? If this is a problem you have, could you try this? Would you buy this? And we started there. We thought it was a real problem because Atlassian had that problem, right? They created a solution for that problem. So pretty much we knew that the problem was there. And behind the scenes, we thought, okay, let's focus on cloud because new customers are going to cloud. I don't know if the number is like 90% of new customers are going to cloud, although big customers are still in data center. And let's create first cloud and then data center, right? And we create all the features for cloud and then data center. Technically, we think is easier than the other way around because cloud is more limited. than data center. So if we can create a feature in cloud, we can create that feature in data center. But the other way around sometimes doesn't work. So things that you can do in data center cannot be done in cloud. So we create everything on cloud, and then we move to data center. And the app in cloud and in data center is the same. But the features first are released in cloud, and after 1 week, sometimes 2 weeks, are released in data center. And we started there. The thing is that we knew the marketplace. We've been here since 2013, and although it's changing a lot, and now there are a lot of competitors, and it's really difficult, no, to start getting customers. But that together with a bit of luck, I think we are doing pretty well there.
Nice, thank you so much. Any other question? Going once. Salma, you want to ask?
Yeah, I'll ask you asking for me.
No, you can just come here and ask. Can you?
I just want to know how you can create like a feedback of the user.
I cannot hear. Sorry. Can you come closer to the computer?
You will pass it. Yeah. Hi.
Hello.
So I was asking, like how do you create? This is what I'm supposed to. Sorry.
No, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. So I was wondering, like, how do you, like you're talking about we kind of take the feedback of users. So I was wondering, like, how do you kind of collect the feedback? Like, is there some, questionnaires or something of that sort?
Yeah, collecting feedback from users, there are several different channels. There are channels that are what we call inbound, that the feedback comes to us. For example, with our support systems, people ask for new features. For example, they send they access to our service desk and they ask for features. Also, when customers send feedback in the app, also when they uninstall the app, we got feedback, and this is feedback that comes to us without doing anything. Then we got what we call the outbound feedback, that we go to look for that feedback, right? And here there are different mechanisms. First, with users that either we have a relationship because they've been asking things, and we contact them, and we have, for example, interviews, what are called empathy interviews, that these interviews, we try to be as objective as possible, and we ask them to say what's your pain, right? We don't you have to be here like asking questions all the time, but questions without trying to guide the user anywhere. You just want to know what is the problem of that customer. You don't want to be your product the solution. So, okay, what's your problem? Tell me. And you do these empathy interviews. There are other mechanisms that are, okay, we prepare a session with a user, and we say the user, okay, here is the app, and you need to perform these tasks, and we record what this person is doing, and we can see how this person uses the app. This feedback, what we get there, is to improve, for example, the retention. Where are the pain points within our app? So depending what you are looking for, you do one type of feedback gathering or the other. If you, for example, have a lot of users trying your app, but you don't convert your app, then you have a problem within your app, right? So you have to see where your app is failing, where the user has pains in your app. But if you are not getting users, then you have to go to the previous example, right? Asking users, what's your problem? What is your pain? Okay, and this is your pain. This will solve it? No. Okay, Now I got a problem with the problem statement and the solution I'm creating, right? So this is depending on the stage you are, you get feedback in different ways. And there is another way of getting feedback is with the analytics that you get from your product, right? What are the events that are happening within your app? How is the user using your app? First, create a dashboard. Oh, this person is not adding gadgets to the dashboard. Why is that, right? So this is data. So you know something that is wrong or is right. Maybe you know that the person that creates a dashboard and adds a gadget converts better than the person that, for example, create a dashboard but only share that dashboard. That user don't convert, don't become a paid user. Then you have to improve that, right? So customer service desk, people reporting things, and installation feedback from the app. So then you can do interviews to users. Then you can get analytics from the app. So there are a lot of points where you can get information, right? I don't know if this was a quick summary of how can you get the feedback, but that's key. That's key. That's key. That's one of the keys of the success of an app.
So are you okay?
Yes, okay.
You have more questions?
No.
Okay. Please.
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah, so I have 3 questions. One, do you have any plans to integrate tools like other third parties like that are not Jira, like Rike, for example? And the second one, is this just a dashboard, or I can also do a two-way transaction? For example, I can manage other Jira instances from your dashboard, or it's just a place I can view them. And the third one is on the pricing model. Do you offer like a free trial or something?
Yeah, we don't allow any transaction. So if you see, for example, an issue, you cannot move a status of that issue. No, it's just to visualize, right? To visualize and sometimes to you can play with that data, but you cannot. For now, the current version, you cannot interact with that data. You cannot, for example, change the assignee of an issue or change the name of a project. For now, you cannot. The integrations, the first question, the integrations we are doing are driven by the feedback, like the previous question, the feedback of our customers, right? And then from the feedback, because we get feedback from many customers and users, we have to prioritize that feedback, right? Which is that's like another topic. We could talk about prioritization of feedback, right? And the roadmap. And we do have, you can try for free the whole app without restrictions in cloud. That's handled by Atlassian, but in cloud you can do like 1 month free trial, the whole product. And in server in data center, you can do more months. You can do trial of more months. Yeah, and you can always contact us if you want to try it longer, and we could try to see other mechanisms so you can keep on trying. And if anyone wants, I don't know, for their team or something, a demo, just contact me and we can see a demo, or I can help you to create dashboards that you need. Or yeah.
Any other question? Okay. Assume no other question, right? Okay, then. Looks like there are no more questions, Goka. Thank you so much for an awesome presentation.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, it was a very great presentation. Yeah, definitely I'll share the presentation and the video once it's ready, so that you can, if you want to contact, Goka or his team, you can do so. If you want a demo for your team back at the office, of course, you can request that directly. Thank you so much. Jira for Gorka.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.